So in today's video, we'll be talking about the Pinto and Snow White Anubias. So Pinto and Snow White Anubias are a different variation of Anubias. So you're looking at an Anubias Nana Petite Pinto right next to a regular Anubias Nana Petite. Now I first saw these variations of Anubias a few years back. Now back then these plants were really rare and hard to find. So they were pretty much my dream plant. But now these days a lot of online sites sell them. So if you just search up Anubias Pinto or Anubias Snow White for sale, you can find a few options. You can either get them in a tissue culture or some sites sell them in pots as well. The reason why we have this variation is pretty much by luck or by chance. So someone was just growing some Anubias Nana and saw that some leaves had a white color to them. Basically he just cut that part off and grew them separately. And he started to propagate it and sell it and distribute it, and since more people have been doing that, this plant is more common. And this is kind of the same thing for a lot of other plants. For example, Bucephalandra was highly sought after a few years back, but now since more people have them and more people are propagating them, it's a pretty common plant and you can get them for really cheap. Now it's not only Anubiases that have this different variation. For example, there is now a Bucephalandra species that have a Pinto pattern to them. Also now there is a Glosso species, which is a carpeting plant that is fully white. So now let's get into the basic care for this Anubias. And you may be thinking that since it is an Anubias, it's easy to care for, but actually these do require a little bit more maintenance and a little bit more work. Now the reason for this is because of the color of the plant. Now the reason why this plant is white is because it lacks pigments. So the pigments are what makes plants green. Also that is what the plant uses to photosynthesize, which means to turn carbon dioxide into oxygen through its leaves. And that's what plants do to get energy. Now if there's a lack of pigments like this plant has, that means it cannot photosynthesize enough, which means you're gonna have to inject CO2 into the tank. Now you can do that, or you can also do like liquid CO2 or just some fertilizers, but you do need some kind of supplement, and that's why you may experience some melting when you first get this plant. In some cases you can get away with it, but if you want to avoid melting or your plant completely dying, I really recommend that you add CO2 into your tank. Also, this plant is an Anubias, which means you do need to place it on a rock or wood piece. Don't plant it straight into the substrate, or don't cover the rhizome at least. Because if you cover the rhizome, the plant is going to melt. So basically the rhizome is that big long horizontal root that all of the leaves and smaller roots are coming out of. So you don't want to place that in the substrate. Also, Anubiases do prefer some shade, so you don't want to place it directly into the sunlight. So if you maybe have like a little crevice with a little ledge over that, that's a really good spot. Also, the Pinto and Snow White variations do come in other types of Anubiases. So basically like Anubias bataris have that Pinto variation as well. Also just regular Anubias nanas, not the petites but just regular nanas, do have that Pinto variation. And here's a picture of mine. So they are a little bit more expensive than your regular Anubiases, but in my opinion they are really worth it. That is pretty much it for me. If you guys have any more questions, please comment those down below. And I'm happy to answer anything you guys have for me. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.